All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Monday, May 19th. We've got a 12-game MLB slate to dive into in today's video. Like we always do, I'm going to dive into each and every one of these games. I'll give you my prediction on the side. I'll give you my prediction on the total. We'll talk about any other plays like player props that we like within the game as well. But as always, guys, keep an eye down on the pinned comment for all of my final plays. It'll take you over there. If that does interest you, if you want to fade me, it's absolutely free down in the pinned comment. All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. I tell you guys I'm a dummy all the time. They don't suck. They've just been sucking. Get them down to -3 for more juice than Jose Canseco in his prime. Tell me you're new without telling me you're new. So don't go jumping down my throat in the comments, right? If you want to fade me, or if you do want to ride me, this still leaves a bad taste in my mouth, right? And remember, more chins, more wins. In terms of yesterday, we do pick up a little bit of profit. Now, it was a battle. It was a grind, but I think it was 0.59 units of profit. And when I say battle and grind, it wasn't really the Pirates or Phillies first 5 under or John Ski Noel. No, those are the two easy ones we cashed. But the Tigers money line, we had to sweat out, right? And the biggest sweat of all was the Astros money line and the Astros team total over, which we had a half unit on each of those. They were down, what was it, 3-1 going into the 8th or 7th or something like that. They end up coming back to win 4 runs scored, and they get the money line win. We shall take it now. I mentioned half unit plays there, right? This week, starting now, actually a couple announcements in today's video. Ride of the day announcement coming up in just a second because we're doing things a little bit different. But we're going to start introducing some more full unit plays. We've been very disciplined to start the year, starting with quarter unit plays, rolling into half unit plays, and now we're going to start rolling out some full unit plays. Based on our record this year, I kind of wish we were just rolling with full unit plays to start. But, you know, that's another conversation for another day. So, yeah, excited to do that, but even more excited to talk to you guys about the hashtag Ride of the Day. Now, if you guys don't know what the Ride of the Day is, it's very, very simple. It's a cool, unique thing we do here on the channel, and we're bringing it to MLB now. All you have to use is that hashtag Ride of the Day down in the comments. Give me your favorite play. The play has to be within -150 odds, just so it's something that everyone can ride with kind of comfortably, right? But use that hashtag Ride of the Day. Give me your favorite play. I jump on board with one person's play each and every day. If that person wins, I continue to ride with them. If they lose, we do have to talk about it and give you the shout out in the next video, but we continue to ride with the person that wins, right? And you get a shout out on my social medias as well, which will be rotating around here throughout the show. The cool new thing we're doing now is we're going to have a shared Google Doc, and I'll be making this today, so if it's a little clunky and whatnot, yes, it's coming, and it will be clean eventually. A shared Google Doc that'll show everyone's record and the streak they've gone on and the plays that were in that streak. So it's really, really cool. And then we'll do something at the end of the year for the person that throughout the MLB season had the best Ride of the Day runs. Or maybe we'll pick a couple people and do something pretty cool for them. So yeah, very excited to put a little bit more structure to this. This Ride of the Day I love doing. It engages you guys and really builds the community. So very excited for that. But all right, that's enough yapping. Let's yap some more. Let's go ahead and dive into today's slate. Guys, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let's get rocking here. We got Miami taking on Chicago. Now, this seems like it would be like a, hammer Chicago type spot, right? While I'm not trying to say that I like Miami, I don't necessarily sit here and think that it's a slam dunk Chicago spot. You have Ben Brown on the mound, who has been pretty inconsistent. He's going to give you 5 innings, maybe 3 earned runs pretty consistently. So I guess that is consistent, but not the consistency that you want. And then Edward Cabrera, he's actually looked a little bit better in his most recent starts. Now, one was against the White Sox, one's against the Athletics. So there is a little bit of, okay, well, let's temper our expectations there. But his numbers against this current roster that makes up the Cubs aren't all that terrible. 222 average against, 31.8% K rate, an expected WOBA 342. That's not the best, but expected slugging 391, launch angle on average at 10.5%. So he's keeping the ball on the ground. So I do think that someone can make an argument for this Miami squad, in Miami team today. I think that the offense is just a little too superior on the Chicago side of things, and they'll ultimately end up scoring. But I kind of think that we could see a game in which, it's like a 4-3 type of a game. Now, this is at 8.5, which is tough because if it's 4-4, got to go to extras. But I'm going to lean towards Chicago in the under. But there's enough sort of doubts in my mind about rolling with, I would say, either one of those that we probably don't touch it, but definitely the fact that, Chicago, you're paying a pretty hefty price tag at -170 if you want them on the run line. In the first 5, you're paying a pretty hefty price tag. There's enough Edward Cabrera bright spots, which is kind of crazy, to like that it may keep me off of Chicago today. So yeah, I would say just definitely do your due diligence in this one if you do like Chicago. It's probably the side you end up on, but there are a couple little spots there where Cabrera's numbers may look okay. Next up, we have Pittsburgh taking on Cincinnati. Pittsburgh coming off of a 1-0 loss. We had the first 5 under, so that cashed, but the full game under certainly cashed there. 1-0 loss to Philadelphia yesterday. Mick Abel was his name, right? Pitched okay. Paul Skeens went, was it 8 innings? 7, I think it was 8 innings actually, so good game there. Today, probably a little bit different. We got Mitch Keller on the mound for Pittsburgh, who has been pretty non-noteworthy at home this year. He's going up against Nick Lodolo, who's been pretty good on the road. So you have 2 pitchers that, one has been pitching really well on the road this year. I think his most recent start was against, let's see, we have that up. Yeah, Atlanta, 6 innings pitched, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 7 Ks, 0 walks. The last road start before that, 7 innings pitched, 9 strikeouts, 0 earned runs, just 2 hits. So his last 2 road starts, really, really good. Mitch Keller, like I said, kind of struggling at home, but he faced San Diego at home last, and they kind of popped up his numbers. I would still say Cincinnati has a little bit of a pitching advantage just due to the fact that we're going to see a lot of fastballs, a lot of sinkers, and the slider from Mitch Keller. Those are all pitches that at least Cincinnati either ranks top 10 or top half in the league in terms of runs above average over the last 30 days hitting as a team. So I do think that we could see some pop out of Cincinnati. And flip it over to Cincinnati's pitcher, Lodolo. As long as he's pitching well, as long as he's getting guys to chase out of the zone with some of these pitches, should be good. The only pitch I'm concerned with would be the changeup, which he does throw about 20% of the time, but you have the fastball, the sinker, and the curve are all of his 3 main pitches. Now, he throws them all fairly, split in terms of a pitch mix, but all of those are really, really good and should be really good. And, I kind of trust the fact that a bad offense may not be able to touch him. So I'm going to lean Cincinnati in this spot. Lodolo has some really, really good numbers, as does Mitch Keller. I will say that, but Lodolo's a little bit better here. 58 plate appearances against this current Pirates roster, 36.2% K rate, 6% walk rate, an average against of 231, but an expected batting average against of 145, a WOBA of 308, but an expected WOBA of 220. So obviously you like to see when you have 2 guys with the expected numbers a little bit better. Now, we are in Pittsburgh, which is a little bit better than what I'm about to say than if we were in Cincinnati, because that's obviously a big-time run-scoring ballpark. I still think that both these pitchers could do okay. I think Cincinnati has a little bit of pop to them, like I mentioned, but maybe for the full game. I'm going to lean first 5 under in this one as well, kind of trusting both Keller and Lodolo to go out there and do their thing. Now, usually when we talk about first 5 unders, they're these fully vetted and I absolutely love it and that type of thing, right? I would say that I'm working on this one to try and convince myself. There's enough there right now that I do think it's worth sharing in the video. Like Lodolo in 5 road starts this year, the first 5 under has cashed in 4 of them, and the only one that it wasn't, it was because they scored 7 runs in the first 5 innings, not even the opponent that he went up against. And then Mitch Keller went at home this year, 3 of his 5 starts at home, first 5 under his cash, and then again, one of those starts, they put up a big number in the first 5 as well. So there's enough there. Even with the pitchers aside, you look at it on the season, this Pirates team, when they are at home, 59% of their games have gone under in the first 5, and flip it over to Cincinnati, they're about 50-50. So I think there is enough of a trend there, right? I do worry a little bit about 10-mile-an-hour winds blowing out, 70 degrees in Pittsburgh. So first 5 under is definitely something that I'm considering, but it's not usually when I'm sharing those first 5, that's one of my favorite markets to roll with, right? Usually we had a little bit of more ammo in our corner. We're still working through this one, to be honest. So that would be the kind of lean in terms of a side. And this one's burned us, but it's also made us look like a genius a few times. Brian Reynolds, under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. The changeup is going to be the first real pitch that I'm worried about here, but the fastball and curve, the number 1 and 2 pitches for Lodolo, and he's obviously a lefty as well, should be good. He pitches way better against righties. Brian Reynolds being a switch hitter, I think we could see a decent spot here for an under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs from him. But again, the wind blowing out, taking a lot of these unders could be a little worrisome. Keep an eye on the final plays. Next up, Boston taking on the Mets. Now, the Red Sox lose 2 of 3 against Atlanta. Mets did the same thing against the Yankees, and the 2 losses that both these teams faced were bad ones. I would say the Red Sox 3rd loss, so yesterday was the bad one. They lost, was it 10-4? But I even think about the win in that series. They were down like 6-2 heading into the later innings, and they came back and won. So the Red Sox, not exactly the best series against Atlanta. The Mets did at least have a 3-2 win against the Yankees, obviously a big series, but Sunday Night Baseball yesterday, ultimately ends up blowing up in their face. Now, you could say this was a really tight game. I think it was 2-2, if I'm not mistaken. Could have that wrong, but 2-2 heading into like the 8th or 9th inning, and then the Yankees just absolutely went off after Peterson had got out. So there's probably still some momentum. It wasn't like the Mets had gotten beat down all game long. It was close and then kind of heartbreaking. I don't mind the idea of a bounce back type of spot in that case. Now, they did have to travel, but the Red Sox, being at home, the Red Sox got beat yesterday and beat badly. So I think there's a little bit momentum probably on the New York side of things. We have Hunter Dobbins on the mound for the Red Sox, who, for a guy that I didn't know too much about and's kind of had to fill in where he needs to, he's been okay. I can't sit here and say he's been great, but because he's got to a couple times, but he's been pretty good as well. But Kodai Senga's on the mound, and this guy has been damn near untouchable. Now, he's had some good starts against some good teams and then some really good starts against some bad teams. It's hard to find some bad starts from him this year, right? 1.02 ERA, especially on the road, a 1.04 whip, a 3.15 FIP, 183 batting average against. I do think that that's where the edge goes. The Mets bullpen, on the other end, has a little bit of taxation going on there, but realistically, they still have plenty of arms available. You flip it over to the Red Sox side of things, and not even the best bullpen to begin with. They should be all good to go. Chapman is good to go. I do think that that's a pretty big deal when they need him, because that's one of the consistent guys out of there. I would say Bernardino's been pretty good as well. But again, this Red Sox bullpen shows up when they need to, but at the same time, as a Red Sox fan, come down to a big playoff game or something, I don't think I trust the bullpen. Mets bullpen, I do. So bullpen and pitching. Honestly, offense, you look at some of these numbers, the Red Sox offense can hang with the Mets. They can. So I would say that, coming down to the pitching bullpen is why I would lean Mets in this spot. And I don't think the price is that crazy. Given the fact that you have the bullpen, I think full game is in play. And minus 130 here doesn't seem like it's all that crazy for me. The Red Sox this year have lost 60%. I think it was 40. I think it was 56 or something of their home games. In their last 20, they've lost 55% of those. In their last 10, they've lost 6. Not exactly the best home team. Whereas when the Mets are on the road, they've been okay and they've been hanging. So Mets for me in this one. In terms of a total, I do give the pitching credit, but I think the offenses on both sides could get something going today. Like the Red Sox have had some improbable situations where they put up a decent number, and it's like, interesting. But at the very least, I think the Mets can kind of score some consistent runs today. So maybe a Mets team total over would be something to consider as well. All right, next up, we got the Rays taking on the Stros. Ryan Pepio is on the mound here against Colton Gordon. Gordon, not too much under his belt in terms of starts, right? Got that one start. That was last week. 4 1/3 against Kansas City. 3 earned runs, 3 strikeouts, 7 hits. Not all that tremendous, right? I think he let up a home run as well. Pepio has started to maybe turn things around, I guess. Look back to that last start that he had at home. That was against the I want to say it was the Phillies, and looked pretty good, right? 6 innings pitched, just 2 hits, 3 strikeouts, 2 walks. But again, only 1 run coming in, and I realize the arrow hasn't moved. Let's fix that. See how that looks in editing. We shall see. But again, Pepe Le Pew, I do think, has the upper hand here. I don't know too much about Colton Gordon, so I can't blow smoke up your you-know-what. I do know that Tampa Bay struggles against lefties, and he comes from the left side. So could be tough to back Tampa Bay today, but, and knowing that Houston is the better offense, but we just pretty much squeezed every last drop out of the sponge that we could get out of Houston yesterday. I don't think we go back to them today. I'm going to take Tampa Bay, but I don't think I could pay that price. I still think Houston has a good enough offense to compete in this one, so paying minus 135 for an offense that I don't even know if they put up, 3 or 4 runs today could be a little dicey. I would say, an under could be in question because I think Pepio could pitch okay. He has, in a small sample size, some decent numbers against this Tampa Bay roster. And then Gordon throws from the left side. We know that, right? Unless he's going to change that up before the game. So maybe an under 9. But ultimately, this one comes down to, probably one of those games in which we can get a better sense of who Colton Gordon is. And we talked about that yesterday with a few pitchers, right? It's like this is more of like personally, a learning type game than one that we want to really throw out there with too many question marks. Because the minute you have a bunch of question marks involved in your bet, like odds are it wasn't the time to place that as like a final play and lock it in. You know what I mean? So, yeah, we'll keep an eye on this. But I'm going to go under as well as Tampa Bay. But that price is just a little too steep, but it might be very telling. We could say that, right? Like the fact that they are that favored, it does make a lot of sense, I guess. All right, White Sox taking on Seattle. I do think that this is a spot to be able to look at Seattle. On the mound for them is going to be Luis Castillo, who, outside of one start against Toronto, has looked very, very good. He's going up against Davis Martin, who hasn't been terrible, but you really can't say too much great about him. And Luis Castillo has some phenomenal numbers against this current White Sox roster. Now, it's only 39 plate appearances against in his career, but a 41% K rate, an average against of 0.86, an expected batting average against of 126, an expected WOBA of 199. Yeah, it shouldn't be too hard for him to kind of blank this team, at least to start. Now, he throws a lot of fastballs. That is a pitch that Chicago hits a little bit better than everything else, but ultimately, I'm looking for the Seattle offense, who has been really, really good on the road this year. This season, they've scored 5.43 runs on the road, so they should be able to get to Davis Martin. I would think Castillo's able to kind of mute this White Sox offense. So for us to be able to head in here and take Seattle, I want to say that first 5 was a decent price. So their first 5 run line was, minus 130. I do think that has a chance to be a final play. With Luis Castillo this season, they haven't been all that tremendous, but on the road, they've at least put up some decent numbers. So hopefully you can go out there and get that. Another way of going around this one, kind of beating around the bush to get to the same result, in a sense, would be, and I believe it was decent odds, right? We had it up in front. Yeah, here it is. Luis Castillo to record a win at minus 110. That could be a spot as well. Again, this is a team that hits the fastball well, but I'm expecting some offense behind him. So Mariners' first 5 run line, as well as Luis Castillo record a win, I think could be 2 plays that we kind of mix in there. Maybe we look at like a quarter unit each, keep this one kind of simple, and roll with a half unit overall. But both of those, I think, could be good spots. Seattle's bullpen, I don't think they are in the worst of shapes. They did have a lot of guys go 2 days ago, but only 2 guys pitched yesterday. So Munoz, Brash, Spear, Snyder, all those guys are good to go. You flip it over to the White Sox side of things, and things aren't as great there, but also they're the White Sox, so you don't really want to have to trust that bullpen in the first place, right? But they did have, I think, 3 guys go, and then there's like 3 guys in their bullpen that have gone 2 out of the last 3. So all game long, you can make an argument for Seattle, so maybe 1.5 if you prefer that. But I think I'm going to go first 5 run line and Luis Castillo to record a win. All right, guys, the They Don't Boo Nobody's new drop. The samples just came in. We love them. We launched them. So we do have the They Don't Boo Nobody's tees live now for the summer. Pretty limited, but if you do want to pick it up, we have the TDBN in the front, right on the left chest there. And then check this back out. I think it's really, really, really cool. They Don't Boo Nobody's. If you are new, that is kind of a saying that we've kept saying along the way, because obviously the chirps from the guppies and whatnot, it's like, hey, if I wasn't making you feel some type of way, you wouldn't be booing, right? And I know we've had that in professional sports too, with fans don't boo nobodies and whatnot. But head over to fademe.store if you don't want to support us and get a great quality t-shirt. Let's see if I can show off the quality some way, somehow here. This is not just like a crappy print on. You could stretch this. This thing ain't peeling or cracking or anything like that. Really good stuff. It's like light and heavy at the same time. Go check it out, guys. Fademe.store, GuyBostonSports.com/store. If you've been thinking about supporting us or you've been enjoying the videos, pick up some merch. Rock it. It's really good stuff. You'll want to wear it every single day. Again, that's fademe.store or GuyBostonSports.com/store. Both of those will take you to the storefront, and just head to the new arrivals and you'll see that They Don't Boo Nobody's tee there as well. All right, Milwaukee taking on Baltimore. I don't know what to say about either one of these teams. I will say there's a total of 9s out there for these 2 teams. I don't even know if they can get that number. We did see Milwaukee put up 5 yesterday, but prior to that, 2 games against Minnesota, they scored 0. Baltimore kind of in the same boat. Like, they're struggling to get over, 4 runs consistently. They just got swept by the Nats. They got swept by Minnesota beforehand. So you have 2 teams that I think a lot of people thought were pretty damn good heading into the season. Both are struggling. Baltimore way more, though. I don't even want to put them in the same ballpark, no pun intended. But Baltimore's 15-30. They're 7-15 on the road, whereas Milwaukee's at least 13-9 at home. Quinn Priester's on the mound going up against Dean Kramer. I would say you put these 2 in a room, and it's like, all right, well, who's going to mess up first? Ticking time bombs in a sense. Both pitch mixes look pretty damn good in terms of against their opponent. In fact, we could show you on our dashboard right after we break down this game. I'll talk to you guys talk to you about how you can get access to our Guy Boston Sports dashboard that we make every single day. But yeah, both these pitch mixes, right? You can see the sinker here. That's pink for him because he doesn't throw the fastball. For Quinn Priester, the sinker, literally the worst pitch Baltimore hits, goes to the slider. Okay, bottom 10 in the league. We see the big pitches out here. Fastball, cutter. Okay, 27th, 19th. So This is a tough one. Both offenses should stink, but it's like the pitchers are kind of tough as well, and so are the bullpens. So I want to lean under in this one, but doesn't that kind of start to seem a little crazy with the fact that, both these bullpens, both these pitchers could let up big numbers? I don't know. Maybe I'm a psycho, but I'm going to lean towards the under. If we can get a 9, I don't mind that spot. I was thinking about first 5 under, but again, now you're just putting all the pressure on the pitchers, and I don't know if I want that. In fact, I don't know if I want anything in this game because it is two teams that you really are rolling the dice with, right? So I will lean in that direction. But both these teams, I would think, are going to struggle to hit the ball. I just worry that, they'll struggle to hit the ball, but if the pitchers are bad, then maybe that's a little bit easier today. So give me the under. If I had to pick a side, maybe I'd look at Milwaukee because they do have a positive home record, and maybe they can pull that out. They have, like I said, had a decent run at home this year. I think they've won 59.1% of their games, which is a hell of a lot better than the 31.8 that Baltimore has won on the road. So Milwaukee and the under is probably all we'd touch here. I believe we had a player prop that we were thinking about. Let me double check that and make sure. Oh, a couple of them. The one that we probably look at here would be Sal Frelick. Yes, again, we're looking at, pitchers that could be kind of tough, but Sal Frelick, just had a really good game yesterday. I think he had, 2 hits? He had 2 hits. And how many RBIs? I think, 2 hits, 2 RBIs for him. If we take his under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs right now, I think we're getting a good price simply because he had a good game yesterday. He does hit the fastball pretty well, which is, again, something that we will expect to see from Dean Kramer, but then the cutter, the curve, the sinker, the splitter, any other pitch that he's going to see after that, not so much. And he's not that great against right-handed pitchers, to 231 average. So, Sal Frelick, under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs right now, minus 123. Could be something we consider. Probably still sticking around that half unit price range, though. Not bumping this one up to 0.75 or a full unit. Access to our dashboard is super, super simple over on GuyBostonSports.com, which, by the way, you do want to pick up the merch. You can click that right there. But you head over to the members area, top right of your screen. Head to MLB Dashboard, and you will see the MLB Dashboard if you are logged in with an account. This is what it looks like. You pull it open. You get each and every game broken out in a visual format. You can zoom in. You can download. You can print it out. Like I say, when I travel, I like to print it out and then scribble some notes either as I watch the games or some things I want to add or look for, something like that, right? But what this has is pitcher data, pitch mix, meaning what the pitchers throw and the percentage that they throw it. You have batting data overall for the last 30 days against whatever hand the starting pitching is last 30 days, and then against the hand and in the situation, whether it's home or away, for the last 30 days. Same thing with batting specific pitches, and then we have some player data as well, so you can know who may be a good spot to start. Now, is this an end-all, be-all, one-stop shop? In some cases, yes, but I would actually argue that this is a really good starting point to your research, whether you're coming home from work and are in a tight time crunch, or you're waking up in the morning and you want to get a sense of what you might be looking at for the rest of the day. This is where to start because green is good, red is bad. You can consider some things like if we were to look up at here, you see Mitch Keller, okay, really bad at home. Nick Lodolo, really good on the road. We kind of talked about that when we went over that game, right? I built this so I could consume data faster and in a more efficient process and optimize my research process pre-recording videos. So yeah, now we're bringing it to you guys. If you do not have a subscription, so we'll set this to no membership access, right? It's going to look a little bit different. It's going to say, hey, you need a membership. View membership levels is all you need to click. You have the all sports, meaning you get the NBA and MLB, or you can just do the MLB dashboard or NBA dashboard individually there. The great thing about this is whatever price you lock in at, you'll keep that price, even if we up the price in the future. So check it out, guys, GuyBostonSports.com. Head over to the members area. Might look a little bit different on mobile, but same steps apply. It just might look a little bit different. All right, Minnesota's win streak comes to an end. They were crushing it. But I have a feeling it may have come to an end today anyways. This Cleveland team has lost 4 straight games, but if you look at them just against Minnesota, including a 4-game series earlier this year, Cleveland had won 8 of the last 10, and they went 3-1 in that series that I just talked about so far this year. So maybe Cleveland were to pull it out anyways. You do have Logan Allen going up against Bailey Ober. I would say 2 good pitchers, just not exactly having their best stuff this year. Like I said, it very well could have come to the end, and I do think Minnesota is the better offense, and Bailey Ober probably in a little bit better of a situation, just given the fact that, even Logan Allen's going to pitch the fastball, the slider. Minnesota hits that well. Bailey Ober pitches the fastball and the slider as well. Doesn't look like Cleveland's going to hit that all well. But for the price, I could see someone making a case for the Guardians here plus the money. I mean, if you look at the Guardians, like I said, 4 straight losses. They scored two runs in their last 2 games, so 1 each. They're probably due to get back going, but if Minnesota had won yesterday, I would probably consider Cleveland today. The fact that Minnesota lost, maybe they're pissed about their win streak, and the fact that they have the bullpen, the starting pitching, and what I'd argue the offensive advantage, it's really tough to look past them, even at a price like minus 140. Now they're back home too. I'm going to lean towards Minnesota here, even though I think that there are paths to get to Cleveland. And if you really did want to back Logan Allen, I think you could make some decent arguments to do so overall. He has some decent numbers against the Twins' current roster, but Bailey Ober, and it's almost like anything that you look at positive for Logan Allen, Bailey Ober has some really good numbers as well. Now, that total is way down there at 7.5, and I do think that makes a little bit of sense. Looks like we're going to have some severe wind blowing directly in from center field to home plate today, so obviously, though even down the line, this isn't the easiest ballpark to put one out of. So I could see an under coming across. I worry about that Cleveland bullpen being kind of volatile. So this might be a spot in which we trust both starters, or we just trust Bailey Ober and look at Cleveland's team total under or the first 5 under. So a lot that we could do in this game. We'll see where our confidence level reaches throughout the day, but that's kind of those, I should say, are the spots that I'm considering in this one. St. Louis taking on Detroit. I tried like hell today to really try and get to Detroit because I love the price tag and I think that they have a good offense. And, Sonny Gray, I've been critical of this year, but also giving him his props when they are due, right? But ultimately, I just couldn't necessarily get there. Now, this Detroit team's playing really good baseball, as are the Cards, and Sonny Gray just too good of numbers here. I mean, 64 plate appearances against this current Detroit roster, 42% K rate, 3.1% walk rate, launch angle of 10.4, expected batting average against of 179, expected WOBA 203, expected slugging 233. Really, really tough to get there, right? He's going to throw a lot of sliders. They don't hit that all that well. He could throw the cutter. He has a big pitch mix, the point being. Whereas we do have Keider Montero on the other side, and he does struggle, I guess, or he has been struggling. Left-handed bats would worry me. So you have Newt Barr, you have Brendan Donovan, 2 of the bigger bats too. Like there just doesn't seem like enough reasons to get to Detroit. Now, I will say, you want to go late innings, shot for shot type of thing, maybe you do start to make an argument there, right? But Detroit's bullpen is an absolute dumpster, you know what. So it's like, yeah, they do have the better bullpen, but who knows who's ready to go today, right? So ultimately, like I said, tried to get to Detroit because I thought that was a nice price for them, but St. Louis minus whatever you pay is probably the side that I ultimately end on. And I don't mind the idea of an under. I think that, Sonny Gray should be able to do well, hold his own. Keider Montero, if he struggles, then maybe you'd look at Cardinals team total over or Detroit team total under to kind of split those two. But ultimately, just couldn't get to the Detroit side of things, even though that was like my goal going into looking at that, which isn't always the best case, but sometimes it's good when you want to get to a side and you can't. It's almost like you're trying to make cases and you can't. Kind of tells you a little bit of something about what you potentially are rolling with, right? So I think that's good sometimes. 2 player props. Now, these are 2 guys that can obviously change things with one swing of the bat, but I do like 2 under in bases for this Detroit squad. We have Kerry Carpenter, pretty much just because he's going to see the slider and he's not the best against the slider. And then as well as Gleyber Torres under 1.5 bases. This is because he's not that great against righties. Also kind of struggles against that slider as well. So could be pretty good. He also has, both of these guys kind of have some meh numbers against Sonny Gray. But yeah, if you want to go hits, runs, and RBIs, I don't mind that because you can get plus 100 right now for Gleyber Torres. Actually plus 108. That might be worth considering there. Is he a guy that can go out there and crush it? Of course he is. He's hit the under in only 44% of games. So yes, that could be a little worrisome, but if Sonny Gray's having a good game, then maybe we see a little success out of it. Just saying. Next up, we have Colorado taking on Philadelphia. This one may not be as easy as it seems. Kyle Freeland on the mound going up against Chris Sanchez. Freeland hasn't been bad this year. Now, I'm not going to say he's been good. I mean, half his games he's going to pitch in Coors, which is definitely tough. But Chris Sanchez is really a guy that I kind of pick up the conversation at backing him when he is at home. Now, his changeup and sinker pitch mix could bode well for him today. The changeup actually being a pitch that he could struggle with, especially now with the elevation there. But to me, there's not, I guess, enough to fully get to Colorado, right? But there's enough to kind of consider fading Philadelphia to some degree, thinking Freeland could pitch okay. Now, I wouldn't go past okay, but 155 plate appearances against this Phillies roster for Kyle Freeland, 24.5% K rate, 5.2% walk rate, launch angle of 11%, which helps with this elevation, right? Average against of 221, a WOBA against of 281, expected slugging 433. So I don't think I sit here and say that he's going to go out there and absolutely get shelled. And maybe this is a spot where Sanchez can pitch well also. Is there room to lean towards an under here is kind of what I'm thinking. Last time Sanchez pitched in Coors, 5 1/3, 7 hits, 1 earned run, just 2 strikeouts, 1 walk. Colorado's pitcher, Kyle Freeland, last time he pitched in Coors against Philadelphia, dating back a couple of years, 6 innings pitched, 8 strikeouts, 1 walk, 0 earned runs on 4 hits. So are both pitchers kind of primed to pitch okay today? I would say, again, Sanchez, I don't want to back on the road, but this Rockies offense isn't anything to talk about. So is it crazy to take an under in Coors? That may be something that we ultimately end up rolling with today, as, again, crazy as it is. From the side perspective, like I said, I don't think there's enough to get to Colorado. I think that if an under hits, they kind of did their job because we can't fully trust their offense. So, yeah, it would be Philadelphia, minus the 1.5, I guess, if I had to. But like I've already mentioned, I think I'd trust, Kyle Freeland just the littlest bit to keep me off of that. And if he does his job, I think that this is a game that goes under 10, just due to the fact that, yes, Philadelphia has a better offense, but if Freeland can kind of suppress them, then great. If the bullpen comes in, then it's all no holds barred, which is tough. So maybe a first 5 under. All right, San Francisco taking on Kansas City. This could be a good one. It's a low scoring, assumed by the total, right? Looks like in terms of what we have from weather, some wind blowing out, but I want to say, did we see that correctly? Wind blowing out, but it's kind of to the right, meaning could be a little tough. And you do have Kansas City involved here, which they can't hit lefties all that well. San Francisco is a little bit better at hitting lefties, but we're going to see a lot of fastballs from Chris Bubic, who's on the side for Kansas City pitching, as well as the slider. And I don't think that that's the worst pitch mix against this San Fran team. So, yeah, I can see why this total is so low, even with the weather being what it is. But ultimately, I think Kansas City's offense is still fadeable, right? Their last 10 games. Now, there's 2 outliers in here. I'll say last 9 because the 10th most recent game was a big scoring game. So their last 9 games, right? And there's 1 outlier. I'll call it out when we get there. From least recent to most recent. Runs 4, 2, 1, 1, 7. There's the outlier. 1, 3, 3, 0, 2. This team is just not scoring. Now, you flip it over to San Francisco, and they've had their ups and downs, but they have plenty of games which they put up a decent number. And with a low-scoring game, yeah, maybe that gives Kansas City a little bit better of a chance, but Robbie Ray, being a lefty, I think is going to give Kansas City some trouble. Now, the way that I would play this is 2 different player props, and I do think that both these have a chance of being final plays. Salvi Perez here, under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. Blew up in our face yesterday, but going right back to it today. I like the fact that he's a lefty. Yes, he hits fastballs pretty well, but if he gets that slider, he really does struggle, so hopefully Robbie Ray's slider is on today. And then Mark Canha here, under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. He's decent against the lefties, but Robbie Ray against right-handed bats, very, very good. And Canha, not so good against the fastball or the slider. So both of those I like. And I like both of them enough to potentially make them 0.75 unit type plays individually each as well. So I'll take San Fran. I'll take the under. But I do think that this is probably a spot in which I look at both of those player props before anything else. And even if one hits, the other one doesn't, at least we mitigate somewhat of our losses. But I'm thinking both these have a decent chance to hit today. If you had told me that the Angels would sweep the Dodgers at the Dodgers in that last series, I'd think you're crazy. Now, they went with May, Kershaw, Gonsolin, so it's not like they had, their top dogs pitching against them. But still, credit to the Angels. Now, the Athletics got swept by San Fran. They lost 2 of 3 in their last series. I think in their last 2 series, they lost 2 of 3, if I'm not mistaken. Today, though, in terms of pitching, we have JT Ginn on the mound going up against Jose Soriano. Both these guys like to keep the ball on the ground. So I think I start to look at a first 5 under because, I'm just hoping that we can keep this one somewhat low scoring with the runs on the ground. Now, weather, a lot of wind blowing out to right field, which is the shortest part of this ballpark. That could give us a little, cause for concern. But again, first 500, I think you can get the 5.5. Let me double check that before I go speak it like it's a fact here. I think you can get 5.5 right now, which is okay with me, even with JT Ginn there. Let's see. Yeah, under 5.5 you can even get under 6 for minus 135 if you want to pay that juice. But Jose Soriano has been a guy that we've backed getting the first 500 plenty this year on the season. His road starts, right? 4 of his last 5 they've gone under. The time that it didn't, his team scored 10 runs. He only allowed 1 run, right? This year, he's been pretty damn good to that line as well, but definitely on the road, a specialist. You flip it over to JT again, 2 games so far at home. He's gone under and 3 starts under his belt, and he's kept it under as well. Now, how long is he going to pitch into the game? Not so much. He's coming off of the 15-day IL, I believe. So yeah, maybe he doesn't pitch all that much, but even if you go to the bullpen, I don't think this Angels offense is all that tremendous. So I would say that, yeah, I would only really worry about the A's being able to put up a big number in the first 5. But regardless of who's pitching for the Athletics, I think that the Angels are due for a pretty damn bad game just because of the fact that they just swept the Dodgers, right? So yeah, I think this is a spot in which I like a first 5 under. We can get it at 5.5, which is great. We might go like, honestly, considering a full unit on it, maybe like 0.75 on the 5.5, and then we get a little bit of safety net, maybe push potential to mitigate some concerns if we look at like the under 6 with a quarter unit, right? Just a little bit of a safety net. Not going to alter anything, if we were to go out there and lose the say it pushes at 6, right? Just get a little bit of our money back is how I'm looking at it. Not like that saves it altogether, because the majority of what we're putting down will be on the 5.5. But in terms of a side, yeah, I kind of already have tipped my hand, right? I think that this Angels team is due for a little regression after sweeping. So yeah, give me the Athletics on the money line. I don't mind that either, but I do think that, this could be a spot, and there is a pitching advantage, I should say, on the Angels side of things. Enough that worries me to probably just trust that, because if the Athletics do their job, I don't think the Angels score much. We just want Soriano to go out there and do his job as well to keep it under. But I would still say Athletics Athletics full game and first 5. All right, a series that we should all be looking forward to. This should be a good one. We got the Dodgers taking on Arizona. Now, last time they played was, I want to say it was like 2 series ago, right? Not even that long ago. I think the Dodgers got the Angels and the Athletics, and if we go backwards, right? And that was Arizona who they played, and Arizona played Colorado and San Fran. That series was knotted up 2-2. And multiple different games we saw. We saw a 5-3 win for Arizona, then a 14-11 win for the Dodgers, then a 3-0 win for the Diamondbacks, and then we saw an 8-1 win for the Dodgers. So back and forth here. I think the pitching is going to be very important in this one, and we have Landon Knack against Brandon Pfaadt. I would say that, in this type of thing with those with those starting pitchers being the case, I think the Diamondbacks money line would be the spot here because you're getting the plus money. Is Knack terrible or anything like that? No, I'm not saying that, but I'm not going to sit here and say that he's guaranteed to pitch a better game than Brandon Pfaadt, who has been kind of erratic, right? His last time against the Dodgers, though, pretty damn good. He pitched in that 5-3 win, game 1 in that series, 6 1/3, 0 earned runs, 6 Ks. He did allow 3 guys to walk and 4 hits, so 7 base runners, but again, 0 earned runs. Landon Knack, on the other hand, I just don't fully have as much trust in. His last start against the Diamondbacks, which wasn't this year, it was last year, 4 1/3, 4 earned runs on 3 home runs allowed within 4 1/3. So yeah, pitching, I think Arizona has the upper hand. I think these offenses are pretty neck and neck. So yeah, give me the Diamondbacks because it is plus money. Total, it's hard not to look at that 9.5 and say over, right? Because again, both these pitchers could get got at any moment. So I'm going to lean towards the over as well as the Diamondbacks here in this one. And guys, it's going to wrap it up for today's show. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. If you did, go ahead, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as well. Really do appreciate all the support as of late. Comment 38 if you made it this far into the video. We'll see you guys in the next one, all right? Peace out.